This Hangout on Air is live and direct. We are here. We are ready to go, and we're going to not fool around this time. We're going to have a good time here today. And before I get started, I want to tell you about my shirt. So I don't know why, but Rogue Amoeba asked me if I wanted a free shirt. So I said, because they got a new logo, and they're very excited about it. But I wanted to read you what they said. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Rogue Amoeba, not sponsored by, but I'm running just about every application they have right now in order to do the live show. So I depend on them quite a bit, but I write checks for my stuff.
So
anyway,
were they good for Sierra?
Yes. I tweeted a screenshot of all of their tools. It's all across the board that they had everything ready for Sierra before Sierra was even here. So they're awesome. And yesterday I was rebuilding a Mac, and I went to their page and I just went download. I mean, I use so much of their tools. Oh, I lied. I did not pay for Loopback. They gave me that one, but I think I paid for everything else. Anyway, they said with the shirt came little stickers. They said, enjoy your new software. We hope you enjoy your new gear. If you like, please tweet about it, post a selfie on Instagram, or get arrested doing something cool. Be sure the shirt appears in your mugshot. Of course, you can also just enjoy quietly. Your pals at Rogue Amoeba like you either way. Rock on. Isn't that awesome? I love Rogue Amoeba. Plus, awesome. They make really good software. All right, let's see. It's time for roll call. We've got Steve and Brett and Kevin, Nick. Ian Prinson's back again. Haven't seen you in a long time, Ian. Nice to see you. Jino Choi is back. Joe LaGreca. John is here. And I understand that Okie Mex Yum might be George. We've got Rose and Sandy bringing up the rear there. Nice little chat room. No Mark to get in the way, so we're all good.
So are we going to go late tonight?
Yeah, no, we're not going late. We're gonna watch the debates tonight. So we will be done on time.
Hard stop at 6 p.m. Pacific.
That's right. Okay, let me do a test recording. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, brought to you by Rogue Amoeba. All right, let's see. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast. Oh, didn't start the broadcast on NiceCast, so the app is not playing. There we go. Actually, no, I don't want to update NiceCast right now. Actually, Steve, you should remind me to always hit that because the link on the website depends on that. I forgot about that. If there's an audio-only link, and if I don't hit that, people can't hear it. I presume everybody...
I didn't realize that. I thought you pulled the YouTube link.
Nope.
Okay. I will try to remember that.
If you're not pasting in a YouTube link, nobody is, right?
I thought it used the same one that I paste in.
No, I think doesn't it say if you just want to listen here, click here or something along those lines?
Yeah, just don't play with that one.
Yeah, well, let's see. What do you know? All right, guys, let's get started here.
Ghiblies
is here. Oh, good. Hi, Ghiblies. I think she's on her phone from Callahan, so. All right. Her post on about the Apple Watch fix has gotten me more retweets than anything I've posted in the last 6 months, probably. Huge engagement on this one, so that's kind of fun. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, October 9th, 2016, and this is show number 596. Well, I got to say, this is the last show I'm going to do on this MacBook Pro with its current battery. I keep it plugged in all the time, and that's the worst thing you can do for a battery. So I never use it as a laptop, but I had to use it, a couple weeks ago when I went to Lindsay's house to do the show live, and I went to use the trackpad, and it didn't move. And I happened to mention it to Pat Dangler, and she said, ooh, sounds like the swollen battery problem. So I called up AppleCare, and I buy AppleCare on everything. I'm telling you, do it. Always buy AppleCare. Anyway, I called them up, and I said, yeah, I was having this problem. I said, by the way, how much time have I got left in my AppleCare? And they said, 24 days. So that was lucky. Anyway, with any luck, it'll be back by next Sunday. I've been test driving using my old 2011 MacBook Pro. We'll see hopefully I won't have to depend on that. But anyway, it's going to be exciting, going to be interesting. And by the way, buy AppleCare. Would have been a $300 charge. So I made the price of the AppleCare back. Plus, I call them and bother them all the time, as you'll hear during the show. Well, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I started using good taxonomy on my blog posts and my podcast posts a while ago. I think I started right after Klaus came on the show and explained why it's so important. Anyway, it occurred to me that there are those of you who love all of the Chit Chat Across the Pond episodes. There's also probably people who like the super nerdy series like Programming by Stealth and Taming the Terminal. And there's probably another group who like the, lighter chit chats. In preparation for someday actually redesigning my website and allowing you to see these things separately, I started categorizing every other week's episodes with the category Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. And the other ones are just called Chit Chat Across the Pond, but they're also categorized as Programming by Stealth or Taming the Terminal. So anyway, it's all going to be awesome if I ever redesign the site like I keep claiming I'm going to. Well, this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond was a little bit tough to categorize. I had the wonderful Alistair Jenks on the show again, and this time it was to talk about programming as a hobby and a tool. So it's about programming, but it doesn't require a tight propeller beanie to enjoy it. Alistair tells stories of how he programmed a calculator in high school. I was on a slide rule in high school. Can't believe these kids today with their newfangled calculators. Anyway, he talks about working with his dad on their earliest computer, and we talk with breathless excitement about our mutual enjoyment of geometry, but we don't actually do any proofs on the air. In the end, I decided it deserves the category of Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. In any case, I hope you'll look for it in your podcatcher of choice by searching for Chit Chat Across the Pond, or just follow the link in the show notes. Well, in Chit Chat Across the Pond number 456 with Mike Elgin, we talked about his life as a digital nomad. And in that episode, he mentioned that he brings a Ring video doorbell wherever he travels. I mentioned the live view feature, which allows you to look at your front door on demand. And he said, that's cool, but the feature is not available if you use your Ring in the battery operated mode, which obviously is what he does when he goes and stays in other people's houses while he travels. While we were recording, I happened to ping good friend Pat Dengler about this, and she checked her battery-operated Ring and said she did have the option to see live view. I told Mike on the air during the recording, and he was delighted. However, a couple of weeks ago when Steve was installing a Ring for Lindsay and Nolan, their battery-operated doorbell did not show the live view option. Steve got on chat with Ring today and asked them about this, and they said that the battery-operated model absolutely does not support live view. Well, Pat gave Steve a screenshot of hers showing that it's on battery and showing the live view option. The guy on chat told Steve it's definitely an aberration and it's not supposed to do that. And if she supplies the MAC address to him, he'll fix that for her. I'm not sure she's going to contact them and give them her MAC address. Anyway, it does kind of make sense that live view wouldn't necessarily be a good thing on battery, since that means it has to be powered up and ready to turn on at all times. So you'd probably have to charge the battery pretty often if you did have this on. I thought it was important to run this correction just in case anybody buys a Ring based on what we'd said earlier.
So by the way, Pat explicitly said she will not be contacting Ring with her MAC address because they will yank that feature as soon as you can say Ring. Sure.
Nicely done, Steve. Yeah, I mean, I can see why you might not want it though.
Well, the only thing to be concerned about is whether her battery power would be draining quickly, and she says it's not.
That's what I said.
So I think it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I see why you might not want it, but I thought it was pretty funny that he thought he would fix it for her. Steve!
I actually wasn't listening. Did you mention that they do plan to roll that out someday?
Roll what out?
The live view for battery-powered Ring.
What?
The Ring doorbell. We were talking about the Ring doorbell.
They're going to?
Yeah. They're just...
No. The entire premise of this is that they aren't going to. Why would they fix hers?
No, they don't have it right now, and it shouldn't be working right now on battery-powered.
Oh, but it will be.
But they are looking into it and determining how to roll it out. I think they're doing some test cases, and I thought Pat might be a test case, but they said, at least the rep I spoke to, who seemed to think he knew what he was talking about.
So I just did a correction. So I guess the correction is true. And when it gets rolled out, then you can correct the correction, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm going to leave it go because we don't have time tonight.
Best to just let it go.
Best just to let him finish. That's what he's talking about. All right. Did I miss anything good?
Christmas vacation reference there.
Did anybody notice that I deftly took care of a cat on the counter here on the table while I was talking? Didn't miss a beat? It's because I'm a professional.
Everyone noticed. Everyone noticed the cat.
Everyone did?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Grace attracts their attention.
Hey, when did Wait a second. I saw electrons come in and now he disappeared again.
Terry is there. I don't think you saw.
No, he left again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a reboot. See if I can fix my audio problems back shortly,
he
guys.
was getting an echo.
Oh, so you've got, oh, you can see Tessa. She's snoring again.
Yeah.
Steve came in. I was doing a recording, and I think it was Chit Chat, and he came in, and there was a pile of stuff on top of Tesla, and he was looking at me like, "What is that?" It was things I was throwing at her that would be heavy enough to hopefully wake her up, and not heavy enough to hurt her. So I was like, pitching little power blocks and
two of my rolled up socks.
Yeah, rolled up socks, anything I could reach that I could throw at her to get her to quit snoring. It didn't work. Oh, Kevin got the joke, says Cousin Eddie. There you go. All right. Oh, it's time for Denise. Yay, Denise. All right, here we go. This was ready last week, but I wanted to save it until I needed stuff time, so we will do it now. I think, Denise introduces herself, so I'm just going to drop this in. You haven't seen that movie since last night? Really? You watch Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation at this time of year? We ring in the holiday season with it ourselves. All right, let me check this connection here. In case anybody buys a ring based on what we'd said earlier.
Hello, castaways. This is Denise Crown. I have a story to tell you with a surprise ending. I recently treated myself to the water-resistant Apple Watch 2. I love to swim and really wanted to capture my swimming effort as part of my fitness history. This left me with my original Apple Watch to find a home for. Not a sentimental person, but I do get a little emotional over first-generation Apple gear. I still have my original iPod and iPhone. In this case, I thought I would part with my original 38mm Apple Watch with white sports strap, so I started researching my options. I don't deal with Craigslist or eBay, so one of the castaways suggested the Amazon trade-in program. I checked with Amazon.com/trade-in, and they offered $135 US for the watch. Because I'm a fanatic about taking care of my Apple gear, I had the original paperwork, box, even the stickers, so I lovingly packed it all up and shipped it off to Amazon. I actually felt a little pang of remorse the minute the box dropped into the UPS container. A week or so later, I got an email saying my pristine watch was rejected. Rejected? For minute scratches? I was mortified. I was devastated they thought my watch was scratched. Was I a terrible watch parent without even knowing it? Would I be banned from future trips to Apple? All of this seriously went through my head. I posted my shame and sadness to the NosillaCast group, and many teary and mad emojis appeared on my post. You calm me down, dear castaways. Another week passes, and the watch is returned to me with an enormous sticker over the serial number. I lost it. Who puts a sticker on a pristine first-generation Apple box? Were they crazy? It was like disfiguring Venus. I know I'm never getting an invite to Johnny Ives' Christmas party now. And then an angel on this earth, castaway David Bender, suggested I email Jeff at Amazon.com and tell him my story. I took pictures of the watch and the horrific sticker that I could not remove and said, I've been a customer for 16 years, and as my account will show, I spend too much money on things I do not need. I always try to go for humor, even cheap humor in times of great stress. I continued to tell him of the watch being returned and me being unable to find any scratches, and then of the horror of the package coming back with that sticker. I tried my best to be charming while voicing my disappointment over the whole sticker business. Today in my email, I find a note from Swetha Koda. Apparently, poor Swetha is tasked with reading these Jeff at Amazon emails. I hope you will keep dear Swetha in your thoughts. I imagine her to have the patience of a saint, and in fact, I Googled the Hindi meaning of Swetha, and it means bright, as in white light. She was certainly my white light, as you're about to discover. She was terribly sorry for my inconvenience and was crediting my account for the $135 they offered me for the watch. In part, she says, rest assured, I shall tell the trade-in team about the issue with stickers. She totally gets me. Now I have the watch and I have $135. My appreciation for Amazon is fully restored and my customer loyalty can never be in doubt. And now I've decided to find someone who wants to monitor their fitness and pay it forward by gifting the watch to someone who will benefit from it as much as I did. And the moral of the story is that some companies go above and beyond, and sometimes people will give you brilliant advice. To David Bender, an enormous thanks for a wonderful suggestion. May your hard drive ever spin and your iCloud always be in sync.
Isn't that the best story? I love it. All right. Well, that is the best story. I love to hear that because, you know, the way I look at it is companies make mistakes just like anybody. And it's all in how you get treated afterwards, right? If they make a mistake and they make good, I mean, you're going to be a loyal customer forever for that kind of service. That's such a great story. And I love that Doug Bender helped you with this in the Facebook group. And it's just so cool to watch the group there, everybody helping each other. You know, it's really become a pretty active community of people who are taking care of each other and finding things out for each other and researching. So really, really cool. And I appreciate you taking the time to send that in, Denise. What a fantastic story. And I agree, that sticker was horrible. What?
So what?
Oh, I was busy with my debate prep. Yeah. Almost missed the podcast. I want to know what's the guy's name who's going to moderate the debates? The tall white-haired guy,
Anderson Cooper.
I want to know what his prep is. I mean, does people just like yell at him to get him to prep? I don't know how that works.
I'd always be in sync.
Well, that is the best. All right. All righty. Next, we have solved. I have decided that the best thing you can name a blog post in a tech column is start it with the word solved. It is unbelievable to me how much activity I've gotten on this story. Renee Ritchie even retweeted it, and he's got 67,000 followers, so it's getting going. My anti-nausea medication. Several stiff drinks. Wait, there's a woman too? What is that? Oh, why are you afraid to try Amazon, Sandy? They made good. That'd be fine. All right, here we go. Well, speaking of the Facebook group, by the way, that's at podfeet.com/Facebook, there's been a discussion of the problem when an Apple Watch refuses to give exercise credit in the Activity app. Using Activity is all about credit, so this is pretty important to Apple Watch users. I started the discussion, actually myself, on behalf of fellow NosillaCastaway Lindsay Sheridan, also known as Ghibli's in the live chat room, also known as Forbes' mother, also known as my daughter. Here's an example of the problem. In one outdoor walk, she had an average heart rate of 132 beats per minute for 43 minutes. Her exercise circle, though, only went a quarter of the way around, which means they only gave her like 7 minutes of credit. The goal is always 30 minutes, so a quarter of that, maybe around 7. She rebooted both the phone and the watch, but she still couldn't get exercise credit. Denise Crown jumped in and said she'd seen the same problem. Denise found, though, that if she used the indoor walk settings, or even other as the workout, she would get credit for the exercise time, and that it was outdoor walk alone that wouldn't work properly. Denise called Apple about it, and they suggested unpairing, doing an unencrypted backup to iTunes, not entirely sure why unencrypted, and then to have it set up as new. This didn't fix the problem for her, though. Being a scientist, Lindsay dug in to do exhaustive testing. She was able to replicate Denise's results, that it seemed to be only outdoor walks that received no credit for exercise. When iOS 3 came out, both Lindsay and Denise jumped immediately onto it to test, but the problem still persisted. Shortly after, this is not a refreshed version of this post. Let me refresh because I've been saying iOS and somebody corrected me. I don't have to redo the whole thing. I just noticed. All right. Preview. I think that's the first time I've said it wrong. I think I said iOS instead of watchOS. There it is. Okay. Let's see.
So you made the edits but didn't refresh?
I'm sorry, what?
You made the edits but didn't refresh?
Oh, it's a good thing I stopped. I accidentally bumped the space bar. I think I paused. Sorry, what did you say, Steve?
Did you make the edits but not refresh?
Yeah, it's Mars Edit has to be refreshed to see what's on the blog. I'm not reading from the blog. I'm reading from Mars Edit. So, I'm glad I stopped anyway, because that wouldn't have worked.
Please tell me you didn't hit the space bar at the opening.
Hope not. All right. Well, speaking of the Facebook group over at podfeet.com/Facebook, there's been a discussion of the problem of when an Apple Watch refuses to give exercise credit in the Activity app. Using Activity is all about the credit, so this is really important to watch users. I started the discussion myself, actually, on behalf of fellow NosillaCastaway, Lindsay Sheridan, also known as Ghibli's in the live chat room, also known as Forbes' mother, also known as my daughter. Here's an example of the problem. In one outdoor walk, she had an average heart rate of 132 beats per minute for 43 minutes, but her exercise circle only went a quarter of the way around, which is only about 7 minutes. For some reason, the goal is always 30 minutes, a quarter of the way around 7 minutes. She rebooted both the phone and the watch, but she still couldn't get exercise credit. Denise Crown jumped in and said she'd seen the same problem. Denise found that if she used the indoor walk settings or even other workout, she would get credit for the exercise time, that it was only outdoor walk that wouldn't work properly. Denise even called Apple about it, and they suggested unpairing, doing an unencrypted backup to iTunes, not sure why it was unencrypted, and then to set it up as new. This did not fix the problem either, though. Being a scientist, Lindsay dug in to do exhaustive testing. She was able to replicate Denise's results. She found that it seemed to be only the outdoor walk that received no credit for exercise. When watchOS 3 came out, Lindsay and Denise both immediately jumped into it to test, but still the problem persisted. Shortly after watchOS 3 came out, Denise got a new phone and a new Apple Watch, and suddenly she was getting exercise credit on outdoor walks. Yay! She was kind of frustrated, though, because now there was no control group. Was it the watch or the phone that was the root cause? Finally, Lindsay did what most geeks do as the very last resort. She called AppleCare. I guess she called Apple with using her AppleCare. Did I mention you should buy AppleCare? Anyway, luckily she got a completely different answer than what the Apple rep gave Denise. I'm proud of Lindsay in so many ways, but I can't tell you how much it warms a mother's heart to realize that her daughter is as geeky at heart as she is. Anyway, here's Lindsay's explanation of the solution. Apparently, there is a calibration setting that you're supposed to do when you first get the watch, and I have no recollection of ever doing it. To reset, go to the watch app on your phone, go to the My Watch tab, Privacy, Motion and Fitness, Reset Calibration Data. This will not erase your activity for the day. Yippee! Then, the important part. Soon after that, go on an outdoor walk or run for at least 20 minutes. So maybe wait to reset calibration until right before working out. Make sure you have your phone with you so it can accurately capture your GPS. Don't putter around your home on this outdoor walk, or else it'll think you've traveled 0 miles for 20 minutes. I think that's how mine got messed up. I went on a 20-minute walk, and it gave me 17 minutes of exercise, which I think is fair because I stopped for a few minutes to pick up dog poop. She actually wrote that. I did not write that. Anyway, she also linked to the support article from Apple that explains how to do this. I'm so happy she finally got this resolved, and even more delighted that she documented all of it for the community. I also put this down as another reason to buy AppleCare. I just realized.
2 comments.
What? Are they problems?
First of all, she didn't write. Did she write, or did you put in the emojis for dog poop?
She did.
So she didn't write it. She emojied it.
Yes.
Secondly, do you realize how you said Lindsay's name?
What did I say?
Look at it. Look at how you spelled it.
Where? It's all over.
When
Where?
you quoted her name in the beginning.
Yeah.
First
Finally,
and last
Lindsay
name.
did what most geeks do. Oh, did I say Sheridan?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
And Nolan heard it too.
Oh, no. All right, I'm just going to throw this in at the end.
Yeah, I think you need to.
Oh, man. So this, actually, I'll tell a story that goes with this. All right, what's next? Preview. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, Nolan. Okay, what's next? What to do? Okay. I just realized all three of these articles are about the Apple Watch. The first one is selling the Apple Watch to Amazon. The second one is the Apple Watch not registering exercise. And the third one is about voiceover on the Apple Watch. All right. Did the poop emojis come across in the blog post? I forgot to look.
They sure did.
Good.
I was surprised.
So why didn't you notice that in the blog post, Steve?
I did. What, notice what? Oh, the last name. I did notice the poop emoji.
Do you want to fix it over on the blog post?
I can if you'd like.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
Yeah. Poopy pants. Wait, how did you get to why are we talking about poopy pants?
Poop emoji. You know Kevin runs with poop.
No, but Rose said poopy pants. So when I was helping Lindsay set up a Mac a really long time ago, one of the problems is when you set up a new Mac, you create a user account, but then you're like, oh, but I have to go get my old user account. And so it got tangled and we're like, oh, what do we do? And so I think I started it. She might have done it. No, maybe it was her. Anyway, she just said, okay, I'm just going to name it Poopy Pants and we'll change it later. Only I found out it was really hard. So she didn't change it for years and years. And she got a new Mac. She named it Poop or Poopy. So it's kind of a tradition. But now she got another Mac and she named it like El Tondi or something boring like that. So anyway. All right.
Oh.
This is really Steve's fault. Actually, technically, I did not let Steve study this.
That's right. I don't think I did review that.
No, I did this right before we left to go to brunch this morning. So
I'm off the hook, right?
Yeah.
Make sure Nolan's listening, Lindsay.
I'll still throw you under the bus. Well, one of the great things about having a live chat room during the recording of the show is that they hear me say things are maybe not quite right. In the previous article, I referred to my daughter's name as Lindsay Sheridan. Well, she's been married for a while now, and she's got a child with Nolan Tondi. Her last name is Tondi. It's Lindsay Tondi, and I apologize to you both. I tried to throw Steve under the bus because he's supposed to read all my blog posts before they go up, and he's quality control director Steve, but I didn't have him read this blog post. So when I talked about it, it still said Lindsay Sheridan. So, all right, enough of that. Well, if you ever find your Apple Watch talking to you, but the screen is staying blank, you might find some tips in this story helpful. As is often the case with these tech stories, this one ends in success, but contains an unsolved mystery. I like to experiment with VoiceOver to keep increasing my knowledge about how the blind use iOS and Mac devices, right? We've talked about that a lot. After my review of the new Apple Watch Series 2, Kevin Jones sent me a direct tweet explaining that VoiceOver is much faster with the Series 2 Apple Watch. He said it was specifically the Series 2. It wasn't watchOS 3. Intrigued, I opened up settings on my Apple Watch, selected General, then Accessibility, and I flipped the toggle to turn on VoiceOver. Now, I expected to have my Apple Watch start talking to me, but what I wasn't prepared for was the second thing that happened. Very briefly, I was shown a screen with a toggle for screen curtain. Most people using VoiceOver have no need to see the screen, so screen curtain is a useful option to save battery and increase privacy. Why have that light on if you don't need it? Unfortunately, when I turned on VoiceOver, the watch defaulted to turning on screen curtain, so my watch turned black. Now, I'd never used VoiceOver on the watch before, and I'd expected to be able to experiment with the screen on. I pinged Kevin back on Twitter, and I asked him, how do I turn screen curtain back off? He explained that it's pretty easy. You can control the accessibility settings from the iPhone in the Apple Watch app. That was good news because it had a screen I could see. Unfortunately for me, flipping the toggle from the iPhone had no effect on the watch. I turned off VoiceOver too, and the watch still stayed black and was only talking to me. This was the beginning of a week-long adventure. I was going to tell this story in order, but I think it might be more interesting if I tell it by jumping around and telling you things I learned along the way. The bottom line is that as of right now, I can turn VoiceOver on and off in 3 different ways, and never does screen curtain turn my watch black. I can use the watch face via touch to enable VoiceOver, or I can use Siri on the watch to turn it on and off, or I can use the iPhone, all without any problems. To get to the state, though, I had 2 great Apple support people, Tracy and Colin, who worked with me on the phone over the course of a week. Did I mention that I like Apple Care? Call them all the time. I'm telling you, it's awesome. I call them when I'm bored. Anyway, also Kevin helped me learn VoiceOver itself in order to conquer this. So the three of these guys helped me. I also use the NosillaCast Facebook group. Have I mentioned that? Podfeed.com/Facebook, and the Google Plus community for the NosillaCast at podfeed.com/Google Plus. I asked them to do some experiments for me. Between Tracy and Colin at AppleCare and the engineering team at Apple, I learned the following things. Restarting the Apple Watch using both the side button and the digital crown causes the watch to restart with all of the same services it was running before the restart. Think of it as an open all applications when restarting on the Mac kind of thing. So you might not always want to do that. You might not want to have all those things open. However, restarting the Apple Watch with just the side button does not restart all of the running applications. So that's a better way to clean things up if you're having problems with your watch. While the Apple Watch and the iPhone communicates via Bluetooth, Wi-Fi has to be functioning as well. It doesn't need the internet, but a Wi-Fi signal between the devices is necessary. I suppose an ad hoc network could exist, but just having Wi-Fi turned on is all that's necessary. You can get the log files from your iOS devices into your Mac so you can read them. I didn't know you could do that. Plug your device into your Mac, launch iTunes, and tell it to sync. Have you ever read what it actually says at the top? Turns out step 2 of 3 is sending log files to the computer. If you navigate to your home directory, library, logs, crash reporter to your device name, you'll find all of these log files. Very cool. So you might be wondering why Wi-Fi is even in this story. That's because during my experiments, I was at a hotel and I was running Cloak as my VPN. When I left the hotel and went over to Lindsay's house, which Cloak knows is a trusted network, I was able to use the iPhone to toggle VoiceOver on and off without any problems. But when I was at the hotel, it didn't work. And that's when I asked the NosillaCast community to test their watches with a VPN enabled. Very oddly, 100% of the people who ran the test and the wonderful Dave Peck from Cloak, the makers of my VPN, were unable to replicate the failure I had on their own watches with VPN enabled. That was interesting to me because when I went back to the hotel and my VPN kicked in, again, the phone couldn't toggle VoiceOver on the watch. So I have a 100% repeatable problem no one else can replicate. Now, here's another fun tidbit. When Tracy and I were working on this together while I was at the hotel, we got the idea to use Siri to tell the watch to toggle VoiceOver for me. For both of us, Siri responded by saying something along the lines of, "I'll tap you when I'm ready." So, what, you busy? You making dinner? What, you can't do it for me right now? Anyway, later on, she tapped both of us, but she didn't respond to our requests about toggling VoiceOver. I almost wonder whether there was a glitch going on right when this was happening to me. So when I got back home from my trip, Tracy asked me if I'd considered putting a logging profile on my watch and my iPhone. He said if I could replicate the problem while logging was enabled, engineering would now have some clue of what's going wrong. Gather metrics? Of course I readily agreed to install that profile. Guess what happened? The problem went away. Seriously, as soon as I started testing at home, I could not replicate the results. I toggled that thing on and off every which way with the VPN on and off, and no matter what I did, it worked perfectly. Isn't that always the way? Well, I got to tell you, recently I was chatting again with Kevin, and he said, maybe it's because Cloak knows that it's really a trusted network, even though you're toggling on Cloak. Unfortunately, I tried it on one of my networks at home that it thinks is untrusted, and that didn't make it fail either. So I have no idea why. All right, I want to jump backwards in the story again, keeping this as nonlinear as I possibly can. When Tracy and I were first noodling on this together when I was at the hotel, I suggested I try navigating the watch using VoiceOver to figure out how to turn it off. I loved what Tracy said. He said, no, I don't want to do a workaround. I want to get to the root cause. I really liked that he had that attitude. It really showed that they were very serious about trying to figure out this VoiceOver problem. As time wore on, though, I did try to do it with VoiceOver. So the most basic thing you need to know about VoiceOver is that since you can't see what you're doing, you drag your finger around on screen while the watch reads the screen out loud to you. And whenever you would tap something as a sightling, you usually double tap in VoiceOver. So remember, I need to open up the Settings app on the Apple Watch to fix this problem. So I pushed the digital crown until I heard it say clock. That told me I must be on the home app screen with the clock in the center. I started dragging my finger around on screen, and sure enough, the watch started to read out the names of all the apps I had on my watch as I slid over them. Unfortunately, my settings app is in the far bottom left, so it was off screen and I couldn't figure out how to scroll the screen. Luckily, Kevin was standing by on Twitter. I think he felt that he'd caused this problem for me, but I assured him it's my own darn fault and that I was enjoying the discovery. Even better, Kevin, of course, knows more about VoiceOver than me and taught me a super useful gesture. Turns out if you simply swipe across the screen, watchOS will read out each item one after another. Took a few swipes to get to settings, but sure enough, it worked. From there, I double tapped the screen and it opened settings. I decided to keep using my new trick and I swiped until I heard general and I double tapped. Swiped till I heard accessibility, double tapped again, and finally swiped till I heard screen curtain, and after that final double tap, I could see my screen again. I do have to confess that I cheated a little bit in doing this. Steve was holding his watch up in front of me as he scrolled to each option, so I knew I was on the right track as I was swiping through. I bet I could have done it on my own, but I did like to have that as training wheels for my first time through. I know this sounds a lot like a lot of swiping and tapping, but the magic is that it's completely repeatable and consistent. Having that consistent pattern makes the Apple Watch really easy to use without sight, if not as efficient as it is for those of us with good vision. Now that this adventure is over, I can now toggle VoiceOver using my Apple Watch itself. I can use Siri to tell my watch to turn on VoiceOver, and I can use the Apple Watch on my iPhone to toggle VoiceOver. In all three ways, like I said, screen curtain never turns on, so I don't know why it even turned on in the first place. My only explanation is that there was heavy neutrino activity going on for those few days, or possibly gremlins. Then again, maybe the problem's going to come back when I go to the same hotel in November. Now, does anybody know why my Apple Watch won't take screenshots anymore? I do have the setting turned on to take screenshots.
So I think you should replace heavy neutrino activity with heavy cosmic ray activity.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, neutrinos don't interact much.
Yeah. They weren't interacting with anybody else. They were just interacting with me.
Oh, okay. So you are the exception to the laws of physics. Got it.
Actually, I should take off that last comment. I got to figure out how to deal with this because I did get the screenshot problem fixed. I'm going to take that out. I do have the setting turned on to take. Okay. In November. All right. How are we doing on time? 5:37. Preview. All right. Steve's coming up. Steve, I'm thinking about. Oh, actually, hang on. I just saw a message come up that was from a phone number I didn't recognize. It might be Steve.
Davidson?
Yes. Sweet.
Sweet what?
My advice worked.
Which advice? You give so much.
You don't know about it. I haven't read the story yet. His second dumb question.
Oh.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's so cool. That was just in time. Uh-oh. Okay. Where am I? So next up is going to be Steve Sheridan, but Steve didn't do a recording. He's going to make me read it. All right, here we go. Did I miss anything good? All right. Oh, dumb question corner music. GarageBand jingles, where are they? Why do I have a Creative Cloud icon in my left menu bar? There they are. Let's see. I'm going to add a track, don't I? Okay, we're going to fold you up, Denise. And I think we can fold up the intro, but we want the outro. And we're going to add a track for...
Fold you up, Denise. Could you rephrase that?
No. There it is. I am really getting the hang of this program. It's working good now. Okay. Why are you laughing?
When did you start using this one?
A year and a half ago. Shut up. Oh, except, you know what? I wonder if that's what causes hitting spacebar won't play. It does this every once in a while. I don't know what that is. All right. Then again, maybe the problem's going to come back when I go to the same hotel in November.
Dumb.
A little fast, I think. So it punished me for saying I knew how to use it. Now the space bar. Go to the same hotel in November.
Dumb
Dumb
questions.
Dumb questions.
Little more. What is?
How come I always have to?
It's time for Dumb Question Corner.
Oh, cut him off just a tiny bit early there, didn't I? All right. Steve Davidson sent in not one, but two dumb questions this week. They're completely different, so I'm going to go through both of them. Here's his first question. For as long as I can remember, when connecting an electronic device to a power source via a power supply, AC to DC, I plug the power supply into the wall outlet, the AC side, and then plug the device into the power adapter, the DC side. This made sense to me. When plugging into the AC side, which needs a transformer, you give the power supply a chance to smooth out the transient spike that the instant-on voltage would induce, making it safer for the electronic device. But recently, I've seen device documentation that says to do the opposite. Plug the device into the power supply, the DC side, and then plug it into the wall, the AC side. So which is the right way to do it? Well, Steve Davidson knew that I wouldn't know the answer to this question because he knew that I have an electrical engineer in the house here. So Steve Sheridan actually gave the answer to Steve Davidson's question. I couldn't get him to record it this time, but he said it was okay if I read it for him. Here's what Steve Sheridan said to Steve Davidson. Good dumb question. I wasn't sure of the answer, so I did a little digging. The answer I found that made the most sense is, it depends. Well, that's helpful, Steve. Anyway, he says, for a modern power supply, there is circuitry included in the power supply to ensure the proper voltage is applied at its output, whether or not a device is connected. In this case, the order in which you plug in your device versus the power supply simply doesn't matter. Most of the power supplies we use these days for our cell phones, tablets, and laptops are of this modern type. But older power supplies don't have this voltage regulator. Voltage regulation circuit. I started ad-libbing. But have I screwed anything up yet?
Regulator.
Shut up. Let's see. But older power supplies don't have this voltage regulation circuitry and instead use simpler analog circuitry to convert the high voltage AC power from the wall to a lower DC voltage that your device needs. This type of power supply is sometimes referred to as a transformer, and they tend to be the heavier, more bulky than a modern power supply type. With these older power supplies, you just plug the power supply into the wall without connecting your device. Okay, 2 mistakes there. Start it again. Save. But older power supplies don't have this voltage regulation circuitry and instead use simpler analog circuitry to convert the high voltage AC power from the wall to a lower DC voltage your device needs. This type of power supply is sometimes referred to as a transformer, and they tend to be the heavier and more bulkier ones than a modern power supply. With these older power supplies, if you just plug the power supply into the wall without connecting to your device, the voltage on the output of the power supply, the device side, can initially be higher than the voltage your device expects. So when you then plug in your device, it will momentarily experience a higher voltage until the output of the power supply discharges down to your device's nominal operating voltage. Whether this causes damage to the device depends on how robustly the device is designed to handle brief voltage spikes and how often the high voltage condition occurs. For these older power supplies, or if you don't know what kind of power supply you have, you can avoid the risk by first plugging your device into the power supply's output and then plugging the power supply into the wall. Conversely, it is also better to unplug the power supply from the wall before unplugging your device from the power supply. Well, that was pretty interesting. I did not know that, and I learned an awful lot about power supplies. By the way,
well done,
one of those stumbles was because you wrote it wrong.
Uh-oh, what did I write?
This type of power supply is sometimes referred to as a transformer, and they tend to be the heavier and more bulky than a modern power supply. More bulky what? More bulky type.
Fix it on the fly.
Well, not the first time.
Do I need to go in and edit that one too?
Yeah, you don't have it yet, though. All right. Okay, save. All right, let's get to question 2 from Steve Davidson, because this one I actually figured out. He wrote, my father in his mid-80s just upgraded his recent iMac to Mac OS Sierra based on my recommendation. I told him to avoid desktop and documents iCloud synchronization because he's a one Mac guy, barely uses his iPad, and simple is better for him. Plus, his 1 terabyte drive is around 5% of capacity, so optimization is ridiculous for him. Somehow, he turned it on during the installation process and got a warning that his iCloud storage was almost full, which is the only way we found out he had it turned on. He also had optimization turned on. I told him to turn off optimization, wait a few hours to be sure everything was on his Mac, and then turn off desktop and documents folders. To my way of thinking, this would be the equivalent of quitting Dropbox. Both ends, local and remote, would retain their copies, but the synchronization process would be stopped. Early this morning, my father sent me an email message. Quote, my desktop files are gone, unquote. He was very worried. The dumb question is, how can my father get things back to the way they were? Is there a virtual desktop and a virtual documents folder on his iMac that he could just move back? All right. My initial thing was to figure out what would I do first if I were just, noodling this problem if it had happened to me. I chose to take that question because I'm afraid it's going to happen to many people. I ad-libbed and it didn't work with what I just said there. Let's see. All right. Okay, come on. There you go. I wanted to take this question because I'm afraid this is going to happen to a lot of people. So get ready for people to call you with this problem. While I think Apple has made great progress in their cloud services, especially with iCloud Photo Library, I'd sure like to give these new Sierra options a bit of time to see if they're going to cause catastrophic problems. Steve refers to 2 different features, and I want to make sure you realize these are different features. They're actually, let's see. Didn't like that one. Start over. I chose to take the question because I'm afraid this is going to happen to a lot of people. While I think Apple has made great progress in their cloud services, especially with iCloud Photo Library, I'd sure like to give these new Sierra options a bit of time to see if they're going to cause catastrophic problems. So don't be surprised if you don't hear this from some of your friends and family. So listen up to make sure you can help them. There are actually 2 features in Sierra that sound similar. Steve's dad chose to turn on desktop and documents iCloud syncing, and he also talked about the other option. This is where you allow Apple to actually remove documents from your drive. This is the optimization step. And, this is where they're using some kind of algorithm they deem, where they look at your files and they say, oh, this is too old and too big to be kept locally when you're running low on space. That's just crazy talk. Even I wouldn't turn that on. So even though it's similar to what we do with photos, it sends a seriously cold chill down my spine. Anyway, there's absolutely is hope for Steve's dad. My first gut instinct was that he should be able to turn desktop and documents back on, then drag them out of iCloud. Might even be good to drag them inside of another folder where iCloud couldn't see them. I suggested that if that works, then I'd turn desktop and documents back off in iCloud, and after that, put the folders back where they belong. After I noodled out that solution, I did some more searching on Apple's support site, and I found a support article that says to do exactly what I suggested. I also suggested to Steve that he check out Todd Olthoff's video tutorial on iCloud document syncing. I haven't watched this one myself yet. There's a link in the show notes, of course, but Todd is extremely thorough and methodical in his tutorial, so I'm sure it's worth watching to understand how iCloud document sync works. Well, right before I recorded this, while I was in the live show, while I'm actually doing this recording, I got a pop-up message from Steve Davidson saying that he had tested it with his dad and he's back in business. Everything is fixed. So I think we have a solution. So you might want to bookmark this one because I guarantee you somebody else is going to have this problem. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in. I forgot to talk about Amazon. I didn't write anything about Amazon. Well,
you can skip a week on Amazon.
Or Amazon or Patreon or anything. Did you update it with that guy's name for me?
I did.
All right. Can you just tell me his name?
That I have to look at. Hold on.
All right. So I was thinking, don't you think that if you're a Mac user and your office makes you use Windows, that could be considered a hostile work environment?
I think in some places, yes.
It is to me.
Okay, first and last, or just first?
First and last. What's
Jamie Harris.
Jamie Harris. All right. All right. Let's watch me ad libs. See how we do. All right. All right. Here we go. Well, as I've mentioned a few times recently, we are no longer sponsored by ads on the NosillaCast. We are sponsored completely by the generosity of the patrons over at patreon.com. I have been really, really happy with the response we've gotten, and I want to welcome Jamie Harris as our latest patron. The way this works is you go over to Patreon. Actually, the easiest way is podfeet.com/Patreon. When you go there, you just pledge an amount that you think the show is worth in terms of what value it brings to you each week. I'm not going to charge you. You won't be charged if I put out a chit chat across the pond. Those are just always free, or at least free for now. No, I'm just kidding. They're free. Anyway, when you pledge an amount, you get billed that amount at the end of the month for how many shows I do. I don't like this at all. Start over. Okay, one more time. See why I have a script? Jeez. All right. I would like to welcome our newest Patreon member here, patron of the art. Jamie Harris has pledged money to the NosillaCast over at podfeet.com/Patreon. The way Patreon works is you pledge a certain amount per show. At the end of the month, however many shows I've done, you're going to actually pay that amount to help the NosillaCast stay alive, and basically just pay the value you think you get for the show. I don't want you to do this if you can't afford it. Just don't do it. It's okay. There's other ways. Buy stuff on Amazon and use the Amazon affiliate links. If you're buying anyway, that's a great way to help the show. If you don't have money to buy on Amazon, write an iTunes link. Tell a friend about the show. Whatever you can do to help, that would be great. By the way, you don't get charged if I do a chit chat across the pond. I'm only putting the NosillaCast episodes in there too. But anyway, thanks again to Jamie for joining the Patreon family. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions like Steve Davidson did, and suggestions. You can always do that by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. You can follow me on Twitter at podfeet. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com/whatever. It's podfeet.com/Patreon, podfeet.com/Facebook, podfeet.com/Google+, podfeet.com/Amazon. It's pretty easy to remember how to find stuff here. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, where do you think it is? You head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
So Paul's been sitting over in the board chat room.
Oh,
but he made it over. He made it over.
Oh, Paul. Shoot,
Sorry, Paul.
I thought you were going to be monitoring that for a while, Steve. Did you forget?
Well, apparently I am not monitoring quickly enough. I did find it, but after he left.
I'm sure Kevin says it's not your fault, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Tessa, come here. Tessa got to say hi. Come here, Tess. Wait, I can't see you. There you go. Tessa! Wait, there you are. Hi, Tessa.
You need more light on her.
I know. She's really dark down there. Here, we'll just keep getting closer. Tesla cam. All right.
Dog.
Where's Ada? Ada never comes to the show anymore.
No.
All right, so I got a cat and a dog in. Have I covered all my Patreon requirements?
A mention of Forbes and a mismention of Lindsay's last name.
Lindsay got a lot of mentions, though, so I think she's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let me put that away. Oh,
so I think Brett's, I think he's vying for wingman status.
Oh, is he?
Oh, no, he did give Kevin credit. Kevin probably thinks Steve needs a new iMac to monitor board chat with.
Well, Kevin, have you looked back to see how long ago?
Kevin's gone. He had to leave for his show.
Oh, he did. Okay. Anybody know how long it's been since Kevin stole Mipples?
Probably 3-4 years at least.
Well,
Hey,
it was
I
when
need
you
to
got
get
your
going.
iMac. Okay. All right. Hang on.
Enthusiastic NosillaCast.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
All right, there. Now the show's done. We finished the music. All right, guys, I'm going to cut us off. We're going to go. We have something to watch on TV. I think we'll go take a look. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm going to cut off the live show. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Steve.
Goodbye, Gracie.